So all of your
I'll go to the fourth class now.
all of your telly series, which one are you most proud of?
I don't know. It's sort of weird. I was down at Aries. Hannie and I go down to Aries often, not together. She's happily married. But we do catch up. But I was down at Aries one night and I got a phone call from a friend of ours who said there's a bushfire out the back. And I was meant to go to Adelaide Writers' Festival, and I was doing this session where they asked me to come and talk about all the work that I loved that I'd done. And so at the time I got this phone call, I was trawling through all the shows I'd ever done. And Nikki rang me and said, there's a fire out the back of you. I think it's going to be okay. And I said, oh, look, I'll leave, because I had my daughter with me. And she said, you can't leave because the roads are blocked off either side. So I thought, great, I'm going to... and I went up on the roof and I looked at this fire and you could see flames leaping up. And I went down...
It's like the 1983 bushfires.
No, this is later. This was actually the thing. It was a fire, but it was blowing the other direction. But I sat and was watching this stuff thinking, I'm going to burn to death and there's nothing I've done that I really like. I think the one I really most liked was a thing I did, a mini-series I did called After the Deluge. Unfortunately, it played on a commercial network and no one really saw it. But, actually, that's not true. About 1.5 million people saw it. But it was, I thought it was pretty good. And I loved what Rake did. I loved the fact that people did relate to it. I went to a party once and this woman came up to me and she said, she had no idea who I was, and she said, have you seen that series Rake? Oh, no, sorry, SeaChange. And I'm always wary when people say that because I'm waiting to get it abused. So I said, yeah, an episode or two, yeah. And then she proceeded to extol its virtues. And then I said, well, actually, I wrote it. And she went, yeah. And it's about... And then she proceeded to describe episodes to me. And I said, no, I really did write it. I'm Andrew Knight. And she looked at me and she said, yeah, I know who you are. And she couldn't have cared less. She was going to tell me the whole story of SeaChange. And I thought, in the end, I walked away and I thought, that's wonderful. Because once you write something, you had it with Hotel Sorrento and various things you've done, all of a sudden it becomes public property. It's not yours anymore, it's theirs. And everyone has a different view of it and a different way that they read it and things. So, you know, it didn't belong to Deb or I, it was just out there. And that I liked.
So we should just talk about Rake, because everybody's watching it and loving it. Whose idea was that? It started with Peter Duncan and Richard Roxburgh had wanted to do a telly movie. They'd heard from Charlie Waterstreet a case about Charlie Waterstreet had just defended, I can't put this in a nice way, a dog fucker. And Peter was fascinated by the idea that you would defend this person. And he rang me and he said, look, the ABC want to do a couple of telly movies. Would you write one and I'll write one? And I said, sure, but every time the ABC hears that I'm involved with something, they want to turn it into a series. And it ended up turning into a series, which meant rethinking it a lot. And I really didn't want to do it another series at that time, but I loved the whole idea of doing a series about a man who defended people who were indefensible, because he was largely indefensible himself. and it wasn't warm and gooey like SeaChange.
So you're actually very non-judgmental about people's foibles.
Oh, you and I are the same. I think the thing that we as writers love is people's faults. As a writer, you're never interested in people's good points.
Well, why are good people boring?
I don't know. It's not even that they're boring. It's just that that's not the interesting part of them. What you're actually interested in a writer is what their flaw is, because that's a kind of conduit to who they are. That's what they're trying to cover up. And I mean, you're not doing it for any noble reason except to exploit them. But it is... and you certainly wouldn't come to a writer for... I mean, writers are, more flawed than any other species on Earth. But when you start to write, it's that thing that you were talking about with character. You're trying to find out what the essence of someone is. And the essence of someone is essentially the flaw, I reckon. It's a thing that if you work out what they're trying to hide from you, you go, oh, right, OK, I think I know who you are now. Whereas, everyone's nice to their children and, but kind of get that intro, get that twist on someone, get that thing you can actually grab onto, you can kind of write them.